Namaskar and welcome to Sansad Television. I am Vishal Dahiya and you're watching our show Perspective, where we bring you details of key national as well as international issues. Today we're going to talk about science and technology. Now, India has made significant strides over the years in the field of science and technology, and the latest results were visible in the battle against COVID pandemic as well. Human resource in science and technology is a major driver for India's emergence as a knowledge superpower. India has been on a rising trajectory over the past several years in the Global Innovation Index as well, from a rank of 81 in 2015 to 46 in 2021. The gross expenditure on research and development has also been consistently following an increasing trend, and during the last 10 years, the GERD of India in gross terms has increased by at least 3 times. Now, the government plans to strengthen and develop the science and technology infrastructure in major sectors. Emerging areas like big data, cyber physical systems, advanced manufacturing, waste processing, etc. have been identified as futuristic platforms with special thrust for initiation of research and development. Today, we will discuss and analyze the journey, the plan, and the future roadmap in the field of science and technology. And for more on this, we're joined by a distinguished panel of experts. Let me first introduce them to you, beginning with, we have with us Dr. S Chandrasekhar, Secretary, Department of Science and Technology in the Government of India. We're also joined by Mr. Rajendra Ratnu. He's Controller General, Patents, Designs and Trademarks in the Department of Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, that is DIPP, in the Government of India as well. And Mr. SP Shukla, the Chairman of Mahindra Defence Systems and Mahindra Aerospace and the President of SIDM, is also with us. Welcome, all of you gentlemen, to Sansad Television. Perhaps, this is one of the right times when we're talking about science and technology. A lot of developments taking place. I'll start with you, Dr. Chandrasekhar. Let's first start by understanding where we stand, the journey so far, and what we have achieved as far as science and technology is concerned, our prowess.
If you really look at where we are in science and technology, as you made in the opening remarks, we have reached, we are top 5 countries in many sectors. Even if you look at our publication track record, we are in the top 3 in the world. Our innovation index has gone up very good in the last 7-8 years. Also, if you look at the kind of investments India has been putting in science and technology for the last 7 decades of our independence, 75 years now, more so in the last few years, we know the kind of research atmosphere and ambience we have created. The national institutes we have, the education policy has been doing well. And also, if you look at the pandemic, India has handled this pandemic far better than many developed nations, which clearly indicates that our investments in science and technology have gone at the right place. And whenever there's a need arising, I think the response of the science and technology community has been outstanding. When we began this pandemic, we remember that India could build the capacity of testing 20 lakh RT-PCRs in a day within no time. Similarly, if you look at, India is the only country which has got a full vaccine, Bharat Biotech, the kind of vaccine we got, AstraZeneca's manufacturing in Pune. So these are the kind of successes we got in no time. And only very few countries could get a new vaccine in such a short time.
Okay.
Also, our health sector has responded well during the pandemic. All these are clear indicators that we have done pretty well in science and technology.
Okay. So that gives up sort of a clear sum up of where do we stand, what we are doing as well. Let me bring in Mr. Rajendra Ratnu here as well. Mr. Ratnu, your views not only on the path we have taken so far, but also specifically if you're talking about research and innovation here, as Dr. Chandrasekhar was also referring to. If you look at the Global Innovation Index, we've done very well. But what do you see when we look at situation on the ground in terms of how much of their innovation is actually resulting in, or research and innovation actually resulting in usable or applicable, aspect of science?
I fully agree with Dr. Chandrasekhar when he, points towards the India's track record in increasing its publications as well as in Global Innovation Index. And as the second part of your question related to translation of these things into, So two figures I like to post very closely related to that. That in terms of number of unicorns, we are the third, top country in the world, fourth in terms of unicorns, and third in terms of the startups globally, which shows that there is a good connect emerging in terms of the research and development, academic institutions, as well as its, a productive use in the economy and industrial and economic activity, which is a very, very healthy and good sign. So that is my just immediate take on your question, the first part.
Okay. Let me bring in Mr. SP Shukla here as well. Mr. Shukla, the private sector or the industry has an equal important role to play when we're talking about any particular area. And when we referring to science and technology, of course, there has to be a very close linkage between what the policies are and how they are impacting the private industry, private sector as well. Now, there is a figure which I'm referring to in terms of the investment by private sector to the research and development. Now, it shows that as far as India is concerned, that investment has not been at par with what is there in other countries, say developed countries or other developing countries like us as well. There seems to be a gap there. How do we bridge that gap?
Thank you so much for having me on the panel. You raised a very good question. So let us first understand science is a very broad word. We have basic science, basic research, applied research, and thereafter comes engineering, technology, design, innovation. These all come in the domain of actual manufacturing. So when we look at the work which is done in India, you will find that initially almost entire basic research happened in the government institutions. That is how we began development post-independence. So Bhabha Atomic Research Center, Indian Space Research Organization, they led the research when it was basic research, which is a fundamental level. Let's say we are talking physics, chemistry, biology. Applied research in the beginning did not happen neither in public sector nor in private sector, because we were dependent upon technology transfer from foreign countries.
Okay.
So from USSR, we got technology for our steel plants and many others. Zinc, copper came up. Similarly, even private sector companies were essentially dependent upon technology transfer. I'm talking early decades of independence. It took 4 or 5 decades to absorb the technology which India had lost out in the colonial period. When most industry was foreign owned, Indians were essentially, India was lagging behind in the colonial period.
Okay.
And then there is technology which brings in design, development, and that is what you use to make actual products. Now, on an overall level, when we talk about R&D budget, yes, investments, not only private sector, but public sector, all are lower than in percentage terms with developed countries.
Okay.
That point is taken. What we need to see is what is relevant to the respective companies, which field they are in.
Okay.
I will take one very simple example. If you take Mahindra, we have a whole facility called Mahindra Research Valley, located near Chennai. We have 2,300 engineers who produce nothing but paper. What I mean is they do research, but it is of applied nature.
Okay.
So there will be an anti-vibration lab. Now they are neither making car nor truck, neither scooter or motorcycle. Anti-vibration research is applicable into whatever vehicle you make, including defense vehicles. That is what we call anti-vibration. Among 2,300, there are 300 PhDs.
Okay.
So that is the kind of R&D investment I can speak for myself, one company has made.
Okay.
But when we talk about in general, most of the focus of industry will be in the category what we call is bringing out uh, new products which are essentially improvement over previous products.
Okay.
Without taking name of any company, let's take consumer products. Companies will do research to find out if customer likes rose flavor or customer likes any other flower,
Mm-hmm.
and they will modify their product to meet the customer preference.
Okay.
Now, that may not fall in the category of basic research, but it is in the category of applied research.
Applied research.
I will stop with one final example.
Okay.
We are today the second largest manufacturers of handsets. Now, what handsets we make, their application of engineering and technology is there. Basic research into making handset is not there
Mm-hmm.
because handset has been invented 25 years ago. Many of the parts and components of handset have been invented elsewhere, like plasma screen, like uh, the glass, which is called gorilla proof glass.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that is not happening. What we are doing is assembling them as well as making parts and components. Beginning has been made.
Okay.
I'll say give us another 5 or 10 years to the industry, both private and public sector. I assure you, as they start making profits, these new units, you will see that they start flowing back. They
Okay.
start reinvesting their profits into research because they know that without research, they cannot compete.
Okay.
Please
Okay.
rest assured, Indian industry, irrespective of the ownership, will focus on research in the coming years. Without that, they cannot survive.
Okay, that's very heartening to hear, and some very key points you made, Mr. Shukla. Let me bring in both Dr. Chandrasekhar and Mr. Ratnu as well. Dr. Chandrasekhar, first is, would you agree with what Mr. Shukla is referring to, that yes, there is a gap both in private sector as well as the public spending when we're talking about more thrust, more focus on research and development vis-a-vis the basic research and applied research as well, of course. And two, what is being done to bridge that gap when we're talking about the government policies or, the budget being allocated, the money being spent, or the focus areas?
Yeah, I think I fully endorse what Shuklaji has making comments. Actually, if you look at science as a whole subject, I don't think we differentiate as applied science or fundamental science. There will be only good science.
Okay.
Good science lead to good products.
Agreed.
So it's we made this demarcation just to understand ourselves. So we all do good science, and good science only will become a translatable product. And if science is not so good, it confines to publication, and then that's all.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at the connect between the, if you want really differentiate between fundamental science and applied science, as Shuklaji mentioned, industries tend to take up a thematic problem and tend to put all the resources. But if you really look at the kind of work they do on a thematic problem, they would get so much of information from published data, which is the so-called basic science.
Mm-hmm.
So I think both basic science and the translatable science go hand in hand. If, for example, Mahindra or any other industry would like to do an experiment, they would like to have some procedures. Generally, they go back and look at the literature, and they would be able to see some procedures which were made as fundamental contribution. So I think they go hand in hand, and I don't think we would really require to too much worry that there's more money gone into fundamental science or less money gone into applied science.
Okay.
Industry tends to put all those funds into a direct product translation, where academic institutes tend to spread the base broad, so that whenever an application scientist would like to use, he would find those small pieces as tools which he will scale up or use those principles and make into a product.
Okay.
So I think there is a good balance, and the investments are going well. If you look at the investment made by the government or the private sector, we all know that India spends about 0.7, 0.8% of the GDP, and which we should go to 3% and all.
Mm-hmm.
We also know that with the economy of India, 0.7 is much larger than countries where even if the 2%, the total money is not so much.
Mhm.
And today, industry is working very closely, and DST also has many programs where we tend to put our resources into academic research, bring in a startup, bring in an academic professor, bring in a manufacturing company together as partners, so that that gap is filled.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Ratnu, your views there on this linkages between the private sector and the public sector as well, and specifically when we are talking about the academia industry linkage to come out with that applicable part of research and innovation and development and continuously working on it as well. What more needs to be done?
Well, as Honorable Prime Minister always emphasizes, that we need to break silos. When we talk about the innovation ecosystem, this cannot be done by one particular department of government alone. This is a partnership that we all have to realize, and this partnership cuts across the departments, cut across the various industries, and there are multiple academic institutions. Even we have to focus on our school education system, on our college and higher education system, on our content, on our pedagogy, the way we deliver our content, the way we, and all these reforms are actually continuously happening on all these fronts.
Okay.
And there is a very good partnership which is emerging among the departments, including with the Department of Science and Technology, with higher education. And recently, we took it as a mission in my office. We called it a NEPM, National Intellectual Property Awareness Mission. And we reached out to most of the department, including Department of Science and Technology. I met Secretary Higher Education. I went out to the UGC, All India Council for Technical Education. And there was a lot of, this very welcome kind of connect that we established with this department, not a one time, but we are working on a long-term institutional collaborative mechanism, which can really reinforce the information sharing between these two, and we can understand each other's perspective. We have gone a long way in terms of, bringing out certain policy instrument, in terms of simplification of procedures, in terms of IT enablement in the filing of the process. Nobody has to come to our, CG office to file a patent. The entire processes have been made online. The manpower augmentation, there has been a massive, change in that. And coupled with that, we have come up with a policy, which I'll be elaborating in the later part, that how we can incentivize both the MSMEs as well as the educational institutions, how we can handle.
Okay.
So we in the government have come up with the incentives for their filing. A lot of concessions are there. They need to avail up to 80% concessions are given to MSMEs, to women, and to educational institution. Earlier, government educational institution was there. Now the scope has been widened by government. A very bold decision taken to include all academic institutions, and we are also very committed to see that the IPRs are protected, and
Okay.
irrespective of the origin, whether they're domestic or a foreigner.
Okay.
We are giving a lot of focus on this thing, that we have to protect the intellectual property rights. Once this intellectual property right protection ecosystem improves further, and there is a more facilitatory role, more awareness on what are the benefits. So this message is being taken to 1 million
Okay.
potential innovators in this year up to August 2022.
Okay.
And we have already completed almost 1/3 of our target of reaching out to these institutions, to students, to researchers, to tell them that how to, very simple things, that how to file
Okay.
application, what is protected under design, what is protected under patent, what is protected under copyright. So
Okay.
these fundamentals they have to know.
Okay. Now, before I move on to Mr. Shukla with all those points, and how this will impact, one more small question, Mr. Ratnu, and that is, in your analysis, how do you analyze the not only the frequency but also the quality of patents or designs which are being filed by Indian scientific community over the past few years? Has there been a improvement both in number of frequency and the quality as well?
So definitely there is on the both the fronts, there is a very serious work happening on increasing the numbers. We have, come from 35, 40, this range to 60,000 in last 5 to 7 years. We
Okay.
have done a major improvement. And we are today, as already, we have the improvement in our global innovation index from 81 to, coming out in the 40s, to be precise, in the 46 in 2021. This is a very strong indicator that both on the quality and quantity front, we are doing a massive change. We are having a major training program for our manpower and have created a special quality cell in the CGPT office,
Okay.
where we are trying to have a major emphasis on the quality of patents. We are picking up the randomly this thing, and we are seeing a massive change in the quality and quantity. Yes, to turn India as a knowledge economy, we have a long way to go, and we are working in harmony with the other departments and other partners of this ecosystem.
Okay.
Because how this transition can be faster, smoother, and much efficient way, where India can make a major transition and a major change, both in the numbers as well as the quality.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Shukla, your views on this part, as both Dr. Chandrasekhar and Mr. Ratnu were elaborating upon. But also, the area where the focus is likely to be, because earlier in your first response, you spoke about how next 5 to 10 years will see a lot of change vis-a-vis the way industry, private sector is working on research, innovation and development as well. So the key emerging areas like big data, cyber, systems as well, and related aspects. How do you see, the future roadmap from here onwards?
There is one thing which is to be always understood. Industry spends R&D money on what they see as future. They invest in future. So you are quite right, and you mentioned the areas very well. Big data, cybersecurity, e-commerce, they are emerging as main areas of business activity in future without any doubt. And that is where you can see companies are more and more going to spend their R&D money. Those who are in IT space, they will be working to develop the systems themselves. For them, it is bread and butter, that is their business. And there are many large IT companies. India leads in the world. Then there are those who use those systems. So, for example, a delivery company may not be in IT sector, but it is a big user of IT. A mobile services company is not in IT sector, but is among the biggest users of IT. What is happening is entire ecosystem is developing where IT service providers are working with the companies who are users of IT. Artificial intelligence, robotics, the users are automobile companies in a big way, defense companies in a big way. But the IT service providers are part of the ecosystem. Good thing which is happening today, as we globalize more and more, there is a cross flow of ideas.
Okay.
If you had not seen international imported cars, you would think Ambassador is the best thing which India can do. Wrong example. The moment Indians had the freedom, they went all out and made the best cars in the country, which are exported all over. We have become among the third largest markets of automobile. India has the largest tractor company in the world.
Indeed.
India has the largest two-wheeler company in the world. All this has not happened without investment in science. Investments have happened, as I said earlier, in the beginning by the government and public sector and public institutions. As Indian companies came of age, they were able to invest, and then foreign technology transfers. All three together. The world of science is interconnected. You do not work in isolation. One idea leads to another idea.
Indeed.
Ideas developed in India are taken up by others and they develop them. and their ideas we take up and we develop them.
Okay.
More we exchange ideas, more new ideas emerge. There's an old saying, you have one idea, I have one idea, together we will end up with 3 ideas. That is the world of science. And with globalization, more and more we see. But I really appreciate what was said by previous 2 speakers. Number of patents have gone up dramatically.
Mm-hmm.
I remember having read about Dr. J.C. Bose. He invented wireless transmission of sound, but he did not patent it. He wanted humanity to have it.
Mm-hmm.
Then Marconi went ahead and patented it 2 years later. Maybe he developed it independently. I'm not getting into that. But as far as timing is concerned, J.C. Bose had shown it, demonstrated it first in Calcutta.
Okay.
We did not take a patent. Indians are now realizing they're getting conscious of taking patents so that their good work can be counted. This is a major mindset change which is happening in the country.
Okay.
And that is leading to competition among academic institutions,
Okay.
between the companies, and within the companies, different departments are now competing with each other.
Indeed, and that's a healthy spirit there as well, Mr. Shukla. Indeed, that is one very important point which you made. Thank you so much, Mr. SP Shukla, Mr. Rajendra Ratnu, and Dr. Chandrasekhar as well for sharing your views and insight. As our experts were pointing out, this is a very important sector when we're talking about science and technology, and we've done well so far. We've been on the right path, making right decisions, taking right steps as well. Obviously, the linkages between academia and industry, between the public sector and the private sector are really important. And the next 5 to 10 years will be really important from India's point of view in various emerging sectors like big data and cybersecurity as well. We'll keep a close watch on all the developments there and come back again tomorrow with a different topic. Till then, keep watching Sansad Television. Thank you.